Something that made us all sick to our stomachs, right? Nobody better in this league than Nick Chubb as a human being and also as a player. But the Browns running back went down with a horrible-looking knee injury on Monday Night Football last night. Kevin Stefanski announced Chubb is out for the season last night, saying it's an undisclosed left knee injury. He talked about their plan at running back, too.
You don't replace Nick Chubb. That's you just don't do that. Great players in the league. You look around, they go out. It's always not one person that replaces a player of his caliber. So everybody's got to do a little bit more. Got to do a little bit more everywhere. But we'll look at options there in terms of who we bring in.
Okay, Jerome Ford is supposed to be the start running back, but you heard him say we'll look at options.
By the way, who did a good job last night.
He did, right. And listen, called into action right away. You think they should go try to shop around and get a big name?
Totally.
Yeah.
They should call Indy for Jonathan Taylor and the Los Angeles Rams for Cam Akers. I think all of us would agree, like, Cleveland in many ways went all in this year. Obviously, signing Deshaun a couple years ago, is Darius Smith the addition, the way that they've drafted. Jonathan Taylor in Indy, is there a future there? I know Shefty long ago said he's either going to play for them on a new restructured contract or someone else. I think it's them or Cam Akers for the Rams, because this football team, specifically with the way that their defense is playing, the Nick Chubb loss for them is significant. One of those two backs can somewhat pick up for that.
Well, we in an era where most of the time everything is revolved around your quarterback, and Deshaun's contract tells you that this is about the quarterback and how he plays. I'm going to be quite frank. He ain't playing well enough for this not to be about the run game. And the offensive line looked better in the run game last night, obviously, than in his protection.
Yeah.
I still believe Cleveland, and I don't know if it's remnants or if it's just who they are, they're a running football team, which opposite of everything that we know about this league right now, their calling card is being able to hand the rock off, and then everything is created off of that.
Yep.
So I think to your point, Dio, you want a dynamic running back. And it's hard to have this conversation realistically because we devalue the running back so much.
I think I agree with your point. I think part of it is the internal question that they have to ask is, do they think that Deshaun is even remotely close to getting back?
Returning, yeah.
Because if he is, then I think my answer is more realistic.
You got some time.
They got to answer that.
Yeah.
We are going to ask that question and try to answer it ourselves in just moments. But first, let's remind you exactly what happened on Monday Night Football in this game. The Browns at the Steelers. Kenny Pickett trying to rebound with a win week 2 after the previous week. We pick it up second quarter. Nick Chubb had already been injured by this point. Deshaun Watson out of the shotgun, scrambling out of the pocket, and Jerome Ford there doing something. The Browns now leading after a successful 2-point conversion. Later in the quarter, the Steelers 1st and 10 ball, and Kenny Pickett to George Pickens.
He did a great job of hanging in the pocket there. George Pickens is so electric. I love the fact that he caught the ball and it was like, how do I score? No hesitation and split the secondary.
Yeah, to the fourth quarter, the Browns 2nd and 9. Browns leading 22-19. Close at the end here, and Watson under center got hit by Alex Highsmith.
Yeah, Alex Highsmith was the defensive player of the game last night. Critical plays, this plus an interception return early in the game.
Look at the prime.
But this is what changed.
Look at prime time.
The trajectory of the game. Okay, then, TJ.
We love it for TJ Watt. All right, under 3 seconds to play. Watson, empty set, scans the field, and there he was looking for Donovan Peoples-Jones. The Browns still trailing. Here he's going to look for Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's incomplete. And Kevin Stefanski, you're going to see the frustration on his face in just a moment. This is a big piece of this story that we'll get into momentarily. But here is Tomlin following this game.
Mike, TJ became the all-time sack leader in 89 games. What is it that allows him to be so good?
TJ.
I didn't know that.
We love it. Dan was really excited about that for TJ. TJ Watt's game-winning score was the first touchdown of his career. He also had a sack in this game, bringing his season total to 4. He's just the 4th player to record 4 sacks and a defensive touchdown through his team's first 2 games since individual sacks were first tracked all the way back in 1982. Man. My goodness. Watt and company were all over the place, surely making life difficult for Watson. But, Mina, let's focus in a little bit more on Deshaun Watson. What should we make of the first 2 weeks of the season for that offense?
Yeah, you know, the Steelers' pass rush was incredible. To Marcus's point, the Browns' pass protection, you got to back up a right tackle. Not perfect, but A lot of Deshaun Watson's sacks are because of Deshaun Watson. This has been the case since he has come back last year in Week 12. It's been the case over the course of his career, Dan. You know this. As a quarterback, he always took a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
The difference was, in Houston, those sacks were mitigated to a large extent by the fact that he made explosive plays. He he was responsible for these magical moments that made you okay with the fact that your quarterback was always going to have a high sack rate. And watching him, I think what strikes me is the sack rate is still there, but everything else is not. He's not making those explosive, magical plays where he creates something out of nothing.
Yeah.
He looks different to me moving, whether it's as a design runner, and they're certainly using him a lot that way, or when he breaks the pocket. He seems to be moving at a slower pace than he did. And if he's not capable of moving quickly and creating and doing those things that he did in the past, you're left with a quarterback who is just creating a lot of negative plays through all those sacks.
Yeah, the pass game right now is not good enough, and we can't blame the weather like we were capable of doing in Week 1. For me, Mina, it's this variance of miss that is showing up, certainly last night. The misses were either behind receivers. We saw that a little early, where just the ball is a step behind. Very rarely did Deshaun miss last night and the ball's out front. And that's kind of telling me, why are the accuracy issues there in regards to that? And then misses that are off by 8 to 10 yards. We used to call some of these throws pizza balls, where if the ball lands outside of the out of bounds on the sideline, like you owe the quarterback room a pizza. There were 4 of them last night. And these aren't throwaways where we're trying to get away from stuff. These were misses. Even the Joey Porter, Donovan Peoples-Jones throw, that ball lands past the out of bounds marker.